Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Kimbo here, and it is time for another epic Bakugan Evolutions episode review. So, we got episode 11 here. I think I'm about to burp. Uh, okay, I'm fine. We're good. Yeah, I just ate some M&Ms. I don't know why, like freaking, okay, whatever. But, yeah, so, anyways, we got episode 11 here for Evolutions. I'm loving how the series is, and it was just interesting that, like, they decided to put out, the very beginning part of the season, like the crossover and everything from like season 2, even mentioning events from season 1, but it's still tying all together, kind of, but dropping that for 9 and 10 instead of like the very beginning. But I fully explained that. If you're wondering that, like, go back and check it out. Yeah, so that's why this one's episode 11, because that got put in there. They put in the 9 and 10 spot, but it's the beginning, and I don't feel like going back and switching it all up. And plus the order they're putting this out in. Yeah. Well, we got episode 11 here. So this is the episode after all the badness with, like, Magnus and Dan facing off, Magnus leaving the academy, and then, like, Faustus watching in the background under wraps with a silhouette. So it starts off with this. It's basically Shun sitting there and doing some, some studying and such, but then Masato actually calls him up and says that there's trouble with Kazami Enterprises. Basically, there's another company called Jansen who's gaining, like, big time momentum and such. But there have been attacks on Kazami Enterprises, basically like the gate card system and everything. So their stock's been going down. So it's hurting the company and such. And plus, even things inside getting damaged. And Jansen's stock going up, and it's like exponentially happening too. So Masato's kind of suspicious about it. Like, there must be something going on here, and he asks Shun if he can help out or such with it, to protect, like, Kazami Enterprises and such in the name. And of course, Shun agrees, and then he shows up at Kazami Enterprises. He's sitting there talking with Toshi and asking Toshi what the hell's going on, like, what's been happening. And then Toshi saying how there's been, like, attacks and such on the facility, but there's nothing that's been showing up on camera. Like, they haven't seen anything on camera, like any suspicious activity or anything. But Toshi shows the site, and the site actually has just, like, it's a bunch of different machinery and such, but it's all busted, like busted big time, like destroyed. And he says it only happened in a matter of moments. Like, it didn't even take that long, really, for things to really go down with it. It was like split seconds. And then, like, Hydrus is sitting there talking and saying, like, this must be the power of a Bakugan that did this, because it happening so quickly. Like, what in the world? Yeah. So after hearing Hydrus say that, Shun's like, that's it. Thank you, Hydrus. It must have been a Bakugan that did this. So then Shun decides to sit there and look at the cameras and such and wait on wait for any suspicious activity. But he also has the app that Winton gave him, the app where they can detect Bakugan energy in a radius or such through the app. But yeah, so Shun uses the app, and then with it, he he detects some Bakugan energy, and then they're running towards it. Like, Toshi and Shun are both running towards the energy, and he gets there to where the energy is, and Shun's super confused. He's like, there's some energy here. It's coming from right here, but we don't see anything. And then Shun and Hydrus look over and see, like, a little ripple and such. And so Shun sets a gate card. He rolls out Hydrus, and then Hydrus hits the ripple with a move. And then once he hits the ripple with a move, a Bakugan emerges, and it's actually an Aquos Maxodon. I see you, Spin Master. They're putting in some Bakugan, like, that were even released before with some of these characters and such. It makes you go back and think, like, oh, did they ever release this Bakugan? Then you want to go and pick it up and such. Yeah. And that being the case with this Maxodon, because they actually did put out, like, an Aquos Maxodon. Yeah. So it was definitely interesting just seeing that. I don't think it had elemental energy with it. It was just like a regular Maxodon, but there's, like, kind of a bandit with him. And basically, like, this bandit, he's like, I can't believe we've been found. And then sure enough, he, battles Shun and Hydrus, and basically puts up a Tusk Guard, and Tusk Guard basically makes this giant wall around it to where nothing is gonna hit it. Like nothing's gonna hit Maxodon. And so Shun and Hydrus are sitting there trying to hit it, but then Maxodon's getting the moves in, and then the Tusk Guard goes up right after the moves and such. And then even with strength mode, they got strength mode, and even with strength mode, it wasn't enough to break through this. And it's like, what's going on? Even strength mode's not working, and Shun's getting super flustered by this. And then the guy is just like, well, I can't sit here all day. I've got things I gotta do. And then he's like, I'll just crush you now. And then he realizes that whenever he attacks, the Tusk Guard, the big barrier around Maxodon, goes down. And Shun realized that. But even strength mode, even when he switched to strength mode, he couldn't get through it. And also, Hydrus has a different form with strength mode. So yeah, definitely something to be noted. And then also it's got it's got strength mode, and then in the middle of it, Shun's getting super flustered. He's like, I don't know what to do. Like we have to have enough speed in order to go through, to break through at this small little window, because there's a small window when he's attacking that he lets down the Tusk Guard because he has to put down Tusk Guard in order to get the attack in. But then Shun's like, I will not lose. This is for the Kazamis. This is for the Enterprise. This is for everyone. They're doing everything that they can, Masato and everybody else, and I have to as well. And then sure enough, a new core shows up. And then so Shun rolls out Hydrus again, except this time it's in speed mode. So we're definitely gonna get the different episodes where the brawlers are gonna learn how to use speed mode as well as strength mode, because Dan's mastered both, and now the other brawlers are gonna definitely start mastering them. And it seems like this is Shun's way of mastering it. But speed mode looks just like the normal, the kind of elemental Hydrus, like a little bit different. Yeah. So it's understood why they're doing the figures the way they are. Because for some of them, it might be like their strength mode we see with the Platinum series. With others, it might be the speed mode that we see with their actual forms and such, which is really, really cool. Seeing how they're exactly doing it that way. So basically, a lot of the figures we're seeing now, they could be the strength mode or the speed mode for a lot of these Bakugan. So it makes perfect sense why they're doing this. But yeah, man. But anyways, with speed mode, Hydrus was able to break through the Tusk Guard when he had his guard down for a little bit, get the attacks in, and then managed to actually take out Maxodon. He's like, he managed to break through it. He broke through Tusk Guard, and then sure enough takes him out. And then, the bandit gets captured and all that good stuff, and then Masato thanks him. And then Masato and Shun are sitting there talking, and Shun basically tells him that he works for a smaller corporation under Jansen. So definitely this big entity, Jansen, attacking the Kazamis, because their stock going up and everything. So Masato, Shun saying, Masato, you were right with this. And Masato saying, I think we have a much bigger threat to deal with on our hands. Just keep your investigation up, Shun. But overall, that's that was that part of that episode. And I mean, it makes full sense, finally seeing Shun, the Awesome Brawlers in general, starting to learn how to use both power and speed mode, because they know how to use strength mode big time. But the main thing is just getting speed mode down. And then Shun, it's really when you get that full connection with your Bakugan, and thinking in the mindset of I have to use raw power in this scenario, or in this scenario I got to use the full speed and such, and really honing that and mastering each mode, and just believing in yourself and just going for it, And so with this, Shun has figured out speed mode. He's definitely going to master it if he hasn't mastered it at this point. Well, he just learned it, but he's going to fully master it over time, get stronger with it and such, and all that good stuff. But yeah, so overall, a sick episode. Now learning about this group Jansen, and just thinking about Jansen also, it would be wild if they're all just intertwined, Jansen, and then also Faustus behind the Bakugan Academy, and then also the Elemental Asylum. If they're all intertwined, the Gate Crushers, all this behind the scenes stuff being wrapped into one, I think it possibly might be, man. But yeah, overall, a nice setup with this, the introduction of this Jansen company, you know, how we're getting that conflict with like Jansen and the Kazamis, you know, Kazami shares going down, Jansen shares going up, so that rivalry even with companies and such. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on here, and if it's all intertwined into one thing, whew, this might be like the biggest threat they've had. Because I mean, I know it's saying a lot with that because there's been major threats with each season, but like how they're building this up, oh, I feel like crazy ominous vibes for sure in the background, no doubt. Like even more so, like I mean, things got ominous with Havoc for sure. Things got ominous with Gregorius Reed, that's for sure. With Tico, things were crazy ominous because just how like the V virus was getting involved with everything too. That felt like extremely ominous, and seeing that gigantic monster at the very end, man, it was just there's been so many epic moments with each season, and this is another one that's definitely up there, like ominous wise, like just how they're building this up, man. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on with this season. Can't wait to see how it all ties together. It's gonna be wild. But yeah, so anyways, getting into the second part of the episode, we got Farrell and Ajit just sitting walking on the streets, and then they're they're overhearing some things, and I mean, they look over, they see Jenny Hackett. So we get the return of Jenny Hackett with this. This is one thing I've been wondering because we saw Crystal Blue. Now we're seeing Jenny Hackett. I wonder if that means we're going to see a return of like McHugh, if we're going to see a return of Everett. Are they going to be a part of this too? And if so, can we really trust them? Because, you know, Everett. McHugh, same thing. Even with like Crystal Blue and Jenny, how things were with them in the last season, I don't know. Like all of that, you know. But we haven't seen McHugh or Everett with this season. But I won't be surprised if we do see them come into this season for sure. Especially with seeing Crystal Blue and now seeing Jenny. But yeah, Jenny's sitting there talking on the street and basically talking about like this could make it like this could help us rule the whole world. And then Ajit overhears that and is like, I don't know about this, you know, and then tries to follow her. You know, Farrell like, what should we do? Let's follow her. And then they try to follow her, except when a car goes by and goes across the street, she's gone. And then so Ajit naturally goes back and tells the Brawlers at Studio D, well, Studio B, because they're at the one like off the campus, but Studio B. And talks about Hackett, and then Winton's like, we can't fully like say she's doing anything. Like, trust me, I know it's hard to trust Hackett because I mean, Winton actually seemed like he likes Hackett for sure, but can't trust her obviously because the events that happened with that season. It was sad, man. It made me sad for Winton because it seemed like he genuinely liked her, and then you know all that stuff happening. You know, Gregorius Reed and everything. I felt for Winton big time, but yeah, Winton's like, we can't really say that she's going and doing stuff without any proof. And then Ajit's like, well, I'll get proof. And then so he follows her around. She goes to like a laboratory or such, and gets something. And then like the scientist tells her, be careful with that. It could be very dangerous. And then so, you know, Ajit got that on film, and then also just following her around like she's going to get like headphones or going to like a store and such, sitting there eating food, and then he's like, that's suspicious, that's really suspicious. Like those things weren't like that suspicious, but like, you know, Ajit was just like, I don't trust her, you know, and just it being Hackett and her, you know, her history and such. But yeah, so afterwards, he was still following her around like all day, and then Hackett was going towards the academy, and then Ajit's like, that's weird. She's going here to the academy, huh? And then Ajit's like, not so fast, freeze. And then basically tells her, I'm not gonna let you go through with your plans. And then, you know, Hackett just being like, oh yeah? Like, I don't think so. Like, you're not gonna stop me. You know, just kind of that type vibe. And then he pulls out Farrell, and then she's like, oh, a Bakugan battle, huh? Okay. So then Farrell versus Centipod. She still has Centipod, so, you know, I mean, Centipod overall still being a strong Bakugan for sure. And just seeing, like, you know, they switched up some of the Bakugan for some of the characters. Some of them, they kept the same one, like Centipod in this case, because Centipod is strong. So then it's Farrell and the Centipod facing off. But Centipod, not Centipod. Why do I keep saying Centipod? Crustillion. She has Crustillion. Jeepers. It kind of looks like Centipod a little bit, but it's Crustillion. But she still has Crustillion, except Crustillion has elemental energy. So then Crystallian and Farrell are facing off, and then Winton's like, "This is bad." Like he's in the room with Dan because you know the roommates, and he's like, "This is bad. Ajit and Hackett are battling outside," and then Dan's like, "They're what?" And then sure enough, they're in the middle of the battle, and Ajit's saying, "You're not gonna take over the world, or I'm not gonna allow you to do so." And then basically just sitting there like having a brawl and everything. And then Winton and Dan show up, and they're like, "What's going on here?" And then Ajit says, "I found proof." Pulls out the phone and shows them like the video of her saying, "This will help us conquer the whole world." And then Winston and Dan are like, oh, hell no. And then they just throw out their Bakugan. And all hell starts to break loose on the Academy grounds. And you know, man, you already know somebody's going to see it. But they're sitting there and all getting ready to battle. And then obviously it's 3-on-1. So Hackett's starting to lose. But then in the middle of it, Drago, Farrell, and Trox all getting big time hits in, and then Ajit went in for a major hit, and then a Bakugan jumps out in front of Crystallian. That Bakugan is none other than Wrath. So we see Wrath here. Marlo Faustus himself launches out Wrath, and says, "What is going on here? I did not permit, this battle is not permitted on university grounds." And then they're basically sitting there explaining, like, "I promise, like, you have to listen to us. This is very important." He's like, "I don't care. You're not supposed to be having battles on the grounds like this." And then Wrath switches to speed mode because the core shows up, and then he retracts Wrath and launches it out in speed mode. And they show off the figure form of Wrath. So I think, yeah, we're getting Wrath soon, man. I wonder if it's got like a regular mode, a strength mode, and a speed mode, like how Drago has 3 different versions of it. Maybe we'll see the first one of Wrath, and then we'll see it in strength mode and speed mode. If so, that'll be cool. Because, I mean, they can't skip over Wrath, man. Like, it's one of the big Bakugan of the season, one of the big new Bakugan of the season. So I can't wait to see how exactly it's going to be designed, because it does look really, really cool. But Wrath getting in speed mode. Bodies Farrell. Bodies Trox. Drago gets like some defensive. Well, it's defensive, and it takes a lot more to take down Drago, but he still bodies Drago. He whooped everybody, man. They're all just like so strong. And then afterwards, like, Marlo Faustus has the battle stop, and then tries to explain, like, they try to explain how she's trying to take over the world. Goodness, and I had to sneeze. But in the middle of like them trying to explain, like, Hackett's trying to take over the world, and Crystal Blue shows up. Like, "It's for me. The item's for me." They're all like, "What?" And then the item ended up being like a charger, like a mobile charger that can go for a long time. That's basically what it is. So Ajit overheard it and such and jumped to conclusions big time. But naturally, just the way like she was saying stuff, like, why not be a little sus? But, then Winton and Dan both looking at Ajit like, "So that was what it was." And then Ajit's like, "I guess I was kind of wrong and kind of assumed things. That's my bad. I'm sorry." You know. And then Marlo Faust is apologizing to Hackett and Crystal Blue and just saying, like, "Wow, you're going to be seeing a lot more of them, because now they're enrolled at this school." And then naturally, they're all just like, "What?" Like Ajit, Winton, and Dan are all like, "What? No, what? Really?" Because the history and such with them. So they're not like the greatest, like the closest to them. Um, but they're students at this university, and then they're basically all just like, "Why?" So that was a cool little scene right there. Like, they showed off Wrath in actual speed mode. Bringing in Hackett to this as well. So now Crystal Blue and Hackett are a part of this season. I wouldn't be surprised if Everett and McHugh aren't far behind them, if they incorporate them with this. Because one thing they've been doing with this reboot has been tying in characters from previous seasons and such, which is really cool. I'm glad they're doing that. Especially we've seen Everett since season 1. We've seen Crystal Blue and Hackett since last season, and them bringing them back for this one. It's like a full melting pot, and just bringing back older characters. It's really, really sick, man. I love how they're doing this, for sure. Yeah, I'm really hyped for this. But I'd say even with them being at this university, still can't fully trust Hackett or Crystal Blue just because of their history and such. Maybe Faustus has like a close eye on them or such, and maybe they might be helping Faustus, or it might be a point where they start to help Faustus because Jenny's knowledge on elemental energy, Crystal Blue's knowledge as well. You know, they're both really strong brawlers. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see just how things go down with this. But this was a really, really sick build up, and now adding even more craziness and tension, considering like now Hackett and Crystal Blue are at this academy. Magnus has left the academy, and he sees like right through all the kind of sketch stuff with it. But now having Crystal Blue and Hackett come in after Magnus said that, you know, I know it's the whole theme of like it could possibly be just like the higher ups with it, you know, like Mr. Marlowe Faustus, who I still do not trust him for sure. Like him, I think he's like, it's that case of like a very good university and good ideal, but then you have a very, very corrupt leader in it. But nobody really knows that. Or maybe a few people know that more than we know. But time will tell with that. But I definitely do not trust Faustus. If there's one person I had to say, like one person straight out, I do not trust in that academy, it's the headmaster Faustus himself. Because power can make some people just go cuckoo, you know. So yeah, but overall, I'm definitely digging how they're building up this season for sure. I'm definitely loving how they just had added extra attention by having Crystal Blue and Hackett be there and their history with the awesome brawlers, and you know them signing with Gregorius Reed before. So can't really fully trust them, but we're just gonna have to see how things actually go with this, man. But yeah, overall, I think it was a really, really solid episode. Really, really epic, man. But you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episodes that are going to be coming. I just think more and more with each one. And especially because Faustus wasn't reasoning at all. I get he's the headmaster and like, oh, battles are supposed to happen, which is understandable. But also, like, this man just bodied them. He completely bodied. Like, his power is insane, man. And with great power comes great responsibility, and with him, and especially how he's been in his demeanor, like seeing like strength mode or speed mode or things like that, like he's smiled, he's been like, you know, and also watching in the background like a sketch person. I'm not trusting Faustus. I'm starting to think he's the big bad of this season. If not the big bad, one of the big bads for sure. But I won't be surprised if he is the big bad, like the full antagonist here, but it just hasn't shown. Because I don't know just how his demeanor is. I don't know, man. Especially having a Bakugan and Wrath. Like we could be seeing one side of him, and then it just be like he goes absolute bat crazy, and then we see a whole nother side, you know. But yeah, I guess time's gonna tell for sure. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this review on Bakugan Evolutions episode number 11. But hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to slice that like button down below. Let me know how I did. If you're new to my channel, definitely be sure to subscribe for some epic content because I upload daily. And if you haven't already, be sure to ring that bell by my channel name to be notified whenever I upload a video. So yeah, guys, till next time, it is your boy Kimbo signing off. See you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Till then, stay awesome and Bakugan Brawl. I'm up out of here.